Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce right here for the Wayne S. Pierce Show. This is a podcast. Unfortunately, too much work right now. I shouldn't say work. I'm not complaining. Too much stuff that I got to go through, especially what I just got in my email address from sovereignman.com. IRS slams Bitcoin millionaires with new tax rules. Is gold next? You might want to go to the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page and check that out. I'm also going to put that on the Free America Radio network page, Free America Radio Facebook page. And, let me let me just drive this home right now, shall I? Get rid of the IRS. Get rid of the Federal Reserve. Now, you people out there that are all pro, well, why should we do that? And we need this and we need that, blah, 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 blah. Let me tell you something there, idiots. It is because of them that you are overtaxed. It is because of them that your money has no value. Your toilet paper in your bathroom is worth more than the dollar that you have in your pocket, period. So you need to get your asses up. You need to get out there and you need to make sure and demand that you demand your politicians to abolish the Federal Reserve and the IRS, period. Okay? Period. There's no reason why we need them. There's no reason why we need them. None. Zero. Zip. Zilch. None. No reason why we need them. The ultimate optimum thing that we need to do in America right now is zero out the national debt. The only way to do that is to get rid of the IRS and the Federal Reserve. Period. End of sentence. Then the Treasury will be able to look at the local banks and say, well, okay, here's what we can do. Okay. I don't know, folks. I mean, you seem to think that everything's just fine, and you think that Barack Obama is going to save us from all this stuff, and no. He's got his hands full with Russia and China. Folks, let me tell you something. I've read Nostradamus, some of the prophecies. I've read Edgar Cayce. I've read the Bible. I've read different ancient prophecies long before the Bible was written, or before the Bible was put together from the writings of the people that are in the Bible. And I found out one thing. That if you don't believe in prophecy, that if you don't believe that something could happen and the possibility is there that it can happen, you are in serious trouble. You need to look at everything. I'm not going to go off on a tangent here or get on the pulpit or get on my soapbox, but I will say this: you need to pay attention to history. You need to pay attention to prophecy. You need to pay attention to what's going on right now, because I'm telling you right now, if you don't, you're going to be screwed, blued, and tattooed to the nth degree. I don't know what else to tell you, folks. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know how to convince you. As a matter of fact, I don't think I can. The proverbial rug is going to have to be pulled out from underneath you before you even realize that I'm right. And you're going to have to take all that into consideration and either accept what's going on and accept the facts and understand that what you've been told is a bunch of bullcrap, or you're going to be hurting, and your family's going to be hurting, and your city and your town and your work, your employment, your money, everything is going to be collapsing around you while you sit there waving the flag for Barack Obama. He's a tyrant. He's a communist. And he's playing right into the hands of Vladimir Putin and the Chinese Prime Minister. I'll be right back. What we see is not always the truth. Lies, deceit, cover-ups. This is the world we live in. It is not reality. It is distorted reality. Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker. It's no longer a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy fact. The TSA is out on the streets. The FBI is spying on you. And you are in the crosshairs of the New World Order. Come listen to The Views Expressed with your host, Reverend Wayne S. Pierce. Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Right here on Spreaker.com. Hey folks, welcome back to the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast. Not live today. I wanted to do a live show, but I've got to catch up on all the stuff that I that I have been procrastinating on, number one. And last week I wasn't on either show because I wasn't well, and so I have to catch up on that material as well. But the thing that I want to the thing I want you to know about is the fact that here we are, we're being distracted by the state-run media. 16 to 17 days on this missing Malaysian airline. Why? We're being distracted by something else. Behind the scenes, you've got China and Russia working together to do what? To bring about a collapse of the United States of America. Period. Because they're trying to get, and they have worked out a deal to work with their money, the yuan and the Russian money and all of that. They're going to trade and do their business with their own money. The reserve currency of the world was the United States dollar. Now it isn't. And you can tell that. You can tell how they're systematically structuring the collapse financially of the United States of America by going to the store and looking at the prices on the products you used to buy. Do yourself a favor. Take the next month or so, or the next few days, or the next week or so, and go to the stores that you go to, that you frequent. And I don't care if it's your local market or Walmart or whatever. Just go look at the prices and jot them down. Put the date and put the price. And say, well, I went to the store here, I did this and did that. And you don't even have to buy it. You can just go there and look at it and just write it down and walk away. No big deal. But look how it changes. Okay? Take from the first of the month or whenever you go there and do it for a month. And then, look at how much it has changed. The price either goes up or down. And by the end of that month, calculate out as to how much that has changed. But you can also see it in your own paychecks that you go to work. You get a paycheck every 2 weeks or every week. You look at that. Look at the taxes year to date that you've paid. Go back if you still have your old check stubs from last year. Look at that, and then look at what its current rate is. You're being screwed, people. I don't know how to get that through to you. You're being totally and absolutely and positively screwed. Do you understand me? It is what it is. Go to the Wayne S. Pierce Show on Facebook. Let's take a look at that. From sovereignman.com. IRS slams Bitcoin millionaires with new tax rules. Is gold next? Simon Black over there wrote this. Thank you, Simon. Sovereign Valley Farm, Chile, 26th of March 2014. Bitcoin rules finally came to the land of the free yesterday, and I have to imagine there are some not too happy campers this morning, even if they even know about it. Bitcoin taxes were inevitable. And Simon Black wrote, I've written about this numerous times, and I have even gone so far as to predict that the government will probably mandate special Bitcoin reporting on foreign disclosure forms. A number of other countries, from Germany to Singapore, have already issued their own tax rules on Bitcoin and related virtual currency transactions, and yesterday the IRS finally issued their own. Here's a quick summary. 1. While a number of governments, including the United States to a degree, have officially pronounced Bitcoin to be a currency alternative, the IRS disagrees. Number 2, according to the IRS, Bitcoin is property and should be taxed as such, similar to, for example, a piece of rental property or collection of fine wine. Number 3, this means that the sale of Bitcoins is taxable based on capital gains. If you bought Bitcoins at $1 and sold them at $501 several years later, you would have to pay long-term capital gains tax on the $500 difference, currently at 23.8%. If you hold Bitcoins for shorter periods of less than a year, you can be taxed at the ordinary income tax rates on your gains. Number 5, to the extent that you mine Bitcoins as a trade or business, the Bitcoin income from mining activity is not only subject to income tax, but also self-employment tax. Number 6, if you trade your Bitcoins for some other property that exceeds your cost basis, you are subject to a tax. This is a huge ruling that affects all the Bitcoin millionaires out there, early adopters who purchased Bitcoin at $1 or less. So let's say you were one of the first Bitcoin adopters and bought 5,000 Bitcoins at 5 cents. Last year, your Bitcoin was valued at roughly $1,000 in paper currency. You traded 250 of them for a brand new Lamborghini. The IRS would say that you had a cost basis of $12.50 for those 250 coins, but you traded them for other property with a fair market value of $250,000. This means you have a taxable gain of $249,987.50. Naturally, the U.S. government is happy to go back in time and thrust all sorts of interest and penalties upon you if you didn't comply with the law. According to their ruling, quote, failure to timely or correctly report virtual currency transactions when required to do so may be subject to information reporting penalties under sections 6721 and 6722, unquote. What's most important about this new set of rules is what they might mean for gold. If you've ever read Currency Wars, a fantastic book by this person, the author's colleague, Jim Rickards, you may recall early in the book when Jim suggests a potential outcome for gold. Imagine, paper currency goes into free fall, gold soars. Anyone who bought gold early sees sizable profits in paper currency, at which point the government steps in after the fact and sets up new tax rules to confiscate a substantial portion of those gains. Think it can't happen? These Bitcoin rules currently establish a precedent. Simon Black is an international investor, entrepreneur, permanent traveler, free man, and founder of Sovereign Man. He is his free daily e-letter and crash course is about using the experiences of his life and travels to help you achieve more freedom. I know people who deal with Bitcoin, okay? And I'm going to say this. There is a huge problem with the IRS and the Federal Reserve. Okay? Huge problem with the IRS and the Federal Reserve. We need to get rid of both of them. The Federal Reserve was set up long ago, 1913, and was there for the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, all these rich billionaires, and which are now trillionaires now, and their whole family. There's $700 trillion out there, all put out there by these rich families that own the Federal Reserve Bank. Has nothing to do with the federal government, has nothing to do with anything, but the IRS is there as their as their enforcer. If you don't pay these offshore interests and these other, this Federal Reserve, they're going to come after you. Okay, that's like the mafia sending out the enforcer going, you didn't pay the boss off there. Hey, we got to get your money. I'm done with this government, folks. This government is a fascist, dictatorial, communistic government with communist core as the educational system to dumb down and indoctrinate your children. And I am done with this government. I'm done with it. I'm done with the style at which this government is implementing and the fashion that this government is implementing its laws, period. I'm done. I am against this government. I am against Washington, D.C., but I'm not against you. I am trying to help you understand what's going on, and you need to be aware of this. And if you sit there and say, oh, he's one of those people, first of all, define one of those people. Second of all, you're a frickin' idiot. You understand me? I'm a little riled up on this hump day on the 26th of March, 2014. I'm a little riled up, folks. I'm a little riled up that the Supreme Court would say what they say about Hobby Lobby or about any other company. Justices Sotomayor, Kagan suggest Hobby Lobby drop insurance for employees, pay tax instead. Both of the President Barack Obama's Supreme Court appointees proposed that if the Affordable Care Act's contraceptive mandate violates an employer's religious beliefs, it might be better if the employer not provide health insurance at all and allow the employees to fend for themselves. Tuesday's oral arguments in Hobby Lobby case focused on whether Obama's contraception mandate violates the First Amendment free exercise of religious clause. Paul Clement, attorney for Hobby Lobby and Conestoga Wood Specialties, argued that employers with deep religious convictions were left with an unsavory choice. They could either offer a policy that included coverage for contraceptives against their beliefs, or they could exclude it from the coverage offered and pay an exorbitant penalty. Quote, but isn't there another, excuse me, I'm so frustrated I can't even read. Quote, but isn't there another choice nobody talks about, which is paying the tax, which is a lot less than a penalty and a lot less than the cost of health insurance at all, unquote? Associate Justice Sonia Sotomayor asked, according to CNS News, quote, those employers could choose not to give health insurance and pay not that high a penalty, not that high a tax, unquote. Didn't the president say it wasn't a tax? Clement noted that the penalty of Hobby Lobby would amount to $500 million a year. That's when Associate Justice Elena Kagan cut in, quote, no, I don't think that's the same thing, Mr. Clement. There's one penalty, that is, if the employer continues to provide health insurance without this part of the coverage, but Hobby Lobby would choose not to provide health insurance at all. And in that case, Hobby Lobby would pay $2,000 per employee, which is less than Hobby Lobby probably pays to provide insurance to its employees. So there is a choice here. It's not even a penalty by or in the language of the statute. It's a payment or a tax. There's a choice. Didn't they say it wasn't a tax? That's unquote. Kagan went on to say that other businesses were dropping coverage for employees rather than pay for an Obamacare-approved plan. Her suggestion frustrates the very purpose of the Affordable Care Act, to assure that more Americans are covered under accident and health insurance. Quote, I thought that part of the religious commitment of the owners was to provide health care for its employees, Chief Justice John Roberts put in, echoing Clement's argument. Quote, well, if they want to do that, they can just pay a greater salary and let the employees go in on the exchange, unquote, Sotomayor said. Hobby Lobby already pays more than 15,000 full-time employees, nearly twice the federal minimum wage. It also provides health insurance, dental coverage, and a retirement savings plan, according to the Associated Press. A decision is expected sometime this summer, CNS notes. Fox News host Greta Van Susteren discussed the oral arguments on The Record, her show on Fox News. Now, that is from bizpackreview.com. Okay, I'm telling you where it is. All right. And I'm going to put that on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page. And I'm also going to put it on the Free America Radio Facebook page. But I got to tell you, okay, slippery slope? I don't know. But is it possible for an employer, say you own a business, to just say, well, you folks are on your own? Okay? You folks are on your own. You're we'll pay you. If Hobby Lobby is paying almost twice the minimum wage, hell, they don't need to cover these people. They got enough to go out and buy their own. Some of the plans I've seen here locally in the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada, some of the providers here, I've seen it from $85 to $125 a month for one person. Now, if you have a family, it's going to probably quadruple, okay? But that's your own private insurance. That's not Obamacare. That's not the Affordable Care Act. That's your own private, insurance coverage that you buy for yourself. This is getting crazier and crazier, folks. I'll be back right after this. Listen to the Diana and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri Talk Show, Friday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, right here on Spreaker.com. Waking up the masses. Truth, knowledge, and wisdom for your consumption. Waking up the masses. News and views concerning the New World Order. Waking up the masses. Join Bob Brutus as he pulls back the curtain on the esoteric agenda which has been in play for a millennia. Waking up the masses. WakingUpTheMasses.com. The insanity of it all. Hey, welcome back, folks. This is the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast. No live show today because I'm trying to catch up on a lot of stuff. So I've got to, I got to do that. It doesn't get done by itself. So I got to take care of that. But anyway, go to the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page. Go to the Wayne S. Pierce Show.weebly.com. The Wayne S. Pierce Show.weebly.com website. Go to freeamericaradio.us as well. I'll give you some previews as to what's coming up on the Views Express Live today at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Lots of things going on. Anyway. Yeah, if you want to email me, freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. Yes. What else? Let's go to the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page, or actually, let's go to the Free America Radio Facebook page. Let's give you that. I may go to a couple other sites that I know of. What to do. Local law enforcement agencies abuse public records laws to conceal stingray surveillance. Ooh. Dissenter.firedoglake.com. Kevin Gostola over there wrote this. Thank you, Kevin. More and more local law enforcement agencies in the United States are manipulating or abusing public records request laws in order to conceal whether they are using Stingray surveillance technology to collect data for law enforcement activities, even going so far as to pretend that records do not even exist. The Stingray surveillance device, according to the Electronic Privacy Information Center, a device, quote, that can triangulate the source of a cellular signal by acting like a fake cell phone tower and measuring a signal strength of an identified device from several locations, unquote. Such technology has been used in some form by the FBI since 1995. The American Civil Liberties Union considers the technology to be, quote, electronic equivalent of dragnet general searches prohibited by the Fourth Amendment, unquote. It maintains that, quote, no statutes or regulations, unquote, currently exist to address, quote, under the circumstances Stingray can be used, unquote. There is very little case law to properly limit law enforcement use. If you don't know about it, folks, and if they're trying to hide it, there's not going to be precedents to set a law against it. Hello? Makes sense to me, right? Stingrays are capable of stealing cell phone data, according to journalist Ryan Gallagher. Quote, the Stingray can be covertly set up virtually anywhere in the back of a vehicle, for instance, and can be used over a targeted radius to collect hundreds of unique phone identifying codes, such as the International Mobile Subscriber Number and the Electronic Serial Number. The authorities can then home in on specific phones of interest to monitor the location of the user in real time and use the spy tool to log a record of all phones in a targeted area at a particular time, unquote. Have you seen Person of Interest? Have you seen that show? The ACLU is one of the, continuing here with the article, the ACLU is one of a number of groups that is being confronted with shameless secrecy as it tries to figure out how law enforcement agencies in the country are using stingrays in violation of constitutional privacy rights. It sent public records requests to 36 state and local law enforcement recently and received a response from a law firm representing the city of Sunrise, Florida, that was nearly identical to how the CIA has tried to conceal its use of drones to target and kill terrorism suspects. Quote, the city cannot and will not acknowledge whether any records responsive to the request exist, and if any responsive records do exist, cannot and will not publicly disclose those records, unquote. The response said, quote, not only would the mere production of a single record responsive to these requests, even if entirely redacted, reveal the existence of a confidential surveillance techniques, but it would also compromise both active and future criminal investigations, unquote. In other words, plausible denial, folks. We don't know what we have heard about this, but we can't tell you the information that we heard, and even if we did, we couldn't tell you anyway because it might violate certain policies that we have by telling you this, and it would, it would compromise both our active and future criminal investigations. That's a long way of saying, shut your damn mouth, you don't need this information. This is basically what it says. Continuing, the law firm argued it could not even provide information related to closed investigations because though, quote, an investigation of a particular individual, unquote, may have been, quote, unquote, terminated, that, quote, does not mean the records are no longer exempt from disclosure, unquote, if the records, quote, include leads to other cases and other suspects, unquote. See, I just said that. That's a long way of saying we're not going to give you any information because if we do, then the enemy knows about it, then those people know about it, and we can't give you any additional information to that because it might relate to something that we're doing, and so we're not going to give you anything. You can request it all day long, you can, subpoena us, we're not going to give it to you. Serious. That's basically what they're saying. Shove it up your ass. We're not going to give you any information. That's just the way it is. Now, continuing. ACLU Attorney Nathan Freed Wessler, whose name appears on the public records request from the city of Sunrise, contends this kind of a response has no basis in Florida law. In other words, they're breaking the law. A government agency is, quote, required to respond to a public records request by searching for and releasing relevant documents, unquote. That's the law, folks. But even more significantly, this response is inept, if not flat out disingenuous. In other words, it's against the law. By law, when a lawyer requests information, the place that they're requesting information from has to give it up. Period. End of sentence. Done. But the city of Sunrise, Florida says, F you, we're not giving you any information. So, anybody in Sunrise, tell me what's going on down there. Sunrise, Florida. Anybody down there in Sunrise, Florida? Anywhere near there? Anybody have something similar happen in their town? Please email me, freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. Quote, the Sunrise Police Department has already publicly acknowledged that it owns at least one Stingray, unquote, Wessler explains. Quote, a document posted on the city's public website reveals that in March 2013, the police department investigated purchasing a $65,000 upgrade to its existing Stingray device, as well as other related technologies and technology and services, unquote. He adds, quote, an agency cannot acknowledge a fact in one context, but then refuse to confirm or deny the same information in response to a public records request. Sunrise's response might be laughable if it weren't such a bald violation of government transparency laws, unquote. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement appears to be similarly abusing the law. In response to records requests from the ACLU, it refuses to disclose any records and would not inform the ACLU of how many documents were being withheld and why. The FDLE did acknowledge in a few, quote, heavily redacted records, unquote, that the agency had spent $3 million on Stingrays. It has agreements with local and regional law enforcement agencies for these devices. These agencies are prohibited under a non-disclosure agreement from sharing details on the nature of the agreements. Other than that, FDLE broadly invoked 4 exemptions in the state's public record laws that such information would reveal quote-unquote trade secrets, quote-unquote criminal justice information, quote-unquote federal criminal history records, and information on quote-unquote surveillance techniques. The ACLU believes that FDLE redacted text of the non-disclosure agreement it has signed. This cannot possibly be covered under any exemptions. In other words, they just went in and did whatever they wanted, said screw you to anybody who wants to know more from them, and is totally violating every single law on the books. Also, FDLE applies a quote-unquote confidentiality notice to its email replies to requests, which treats the content as privileged or confidential. This means the dissemination, distribution, copying, or other use of this information is in violation of law to FDLE. How is that proper or legitimate under a public records law that is supposed to favor transparency? Continuing, any records related to agreements with wireless service providers such as AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, Sprint, Nextel, and U.S. Cellular were kept secret. Records of communication, license waivers, or agreements with the Federal Communications Commission, FBI, or Florida Public Service Commission, which involved, quote, cell site simulators, unquote, were kept secret. Data on the number of investigations in which, quote, cell site simulators have been used, unquote, and the, quote, number of those investigations that have resulted in prosecutions, unquote, was kept secret. Records of cases where law enforcement used stingrays in the course of their investigation and application for search warrants where data from these devices were used were not provided. Harris Corporation, as the Associated Press recently reported, established an agreement with the city government of Tucson, Arizona, not to discuss, publish, release, or disclose any information, that's in quotes, on products from the company without the company's written consent. The corporation, is to receive notice when the city receives a public records request. There have been multiple instances where local news media contact agencies only to be met with secrecy. Media organizations point out information online, but law enforcement maintains they have an agreement with Harris they must respect by preventing records from being provided to news media. Journalist Bo Hodai and the ACLU of Arizona sued the Tucson Police Department for this conduct. Excuse me. A corporation contracting surveillance technology to state local governments has taken it upon itself to concoct policy in direct conflict with state law and instructed government agencies they must comply. This secrecy deliberately avoids public debate, ensuring that a corporation can reap profits because it does not have to deal with the possibility of having the law or the Constitution get in the way of sales of technology or services to government agencies. It also may be a clever way for governments to avoid having to disclose to the citizens the secret surveillance capabilities which law enforcement is amassing. However, it is quite blatantly lawless conduct on the part of the cities and the states to conceal mass surveillance technology that courts may not approve because they can violate innocent persons when used in an investigation. Oh boy, I'm putting this sucker up on the Wayne S. Pierce Show on the Free America Radio Facebook pages. It's already up on the Free America Radio Facebook page, folks. I'm going to go to the main feed on Facebook and post it. Bottom line is, folks, I don't know. I'm curious, so please email me. I'm curious as to why your city, your state, your city council, your county government, your state government wants to lie to the federal government, but also wants to lie to us and not be transparent that they're lying to the government, that they're making up rules as they go along. Why is this? Well, because they want the power. They want all of it. They want they want to indoctrinate your kids with this communist core. They want to take your guns. They want to tax you to the very breaking point of your existence. They want to push you over the cliff and then take everything you have. This is why they are doing it, folks. This is why they are doing it. Okay? I don't know. I don't know what goes through a person's mind when their thought is, when they're in government and politics and all that. I don't know what goes through their mind when they think, I'm going to screw those people and take everything they have. Maybe that's it. Maybe they're so narcissistic and arrogant that they don't really care. Maybe they're so blind to their own corruption that they don't realize that we're not as stupid as they think. We can find this stuff out like that. And if you don't believe it, you got a problem. You see how frustrated it gets, folks? But I'm here disseminating the information that you need to know. And I hope, please go out and check this stuff out yourself. You know, I've spent many years looking into this stuff. And I've told people about this stuff. And I've got met with ridicule, and I've got met with ridicule and people looking down on me, and people not wanting to be around me or anything like that because they think, he's one of them radical, freedom-loving, liberty-loving people that thinks that the government has something against its people. Oh yeah, he's one of them conspiracy theorists. Folks, everything that I myself and Nick Tucker and Alex Jones and Glenn Beck and Michael Savage and Pete Santilli has been telling you for years and years and years and years and years is absolutely 100% correct. And if you don't get it through your thick freaking skulls that the United States of America is collapsing, by design, then you got a serious frickin' problem. Okay? I don't know what else to tell you. I really, really don't know what else to tell you. You know, I wrote something on my Facebook page, which, and I'm going to say this only because of the fact that I know I know that people have their own views on things. I understand that. I completely and utterly understand that. People have their own perspective on things. I get that, okay? But, just a little side note here, folks. You want to send me something send me something on Twitter? You can do that at Real WS Pierce. Real Whiskey Sierra Pierce. Okay? That's on Twitter, so go check that out. I wrote something on my Facebook page which has, well, let me read it to you in the let me see how long I have before. Well, when I get back from this break, I'll go ahead and read this to you. But let me first of all give you this as we go to break. You know what is going on, but you second guess yourself and say, well, that's not really it. Really? No. Your gut is telling you what is going on. Your gut is telling you what is happening, and it's 100% correct. It is there. You know it, but you're trying to hide from it or you're trying to push it away. Okay? You got a serious frickin' problem if you do not accept the truth and the facts as they are presented to you. And it's right out there in the open. It's right out there in the open. It's in your movies. It's in your TV shows. It's in all of that. And you're just sitting there thinking it's just great entertainment. Well, you know what? That's what George Orwell said. Distract them with sports and entertainment. And guess what? You're distracted. I'll be back right after this. This is the Free America Radio Network. For more information, please email freeamericaradio@usa.com. Come join Nick Larson and Brian Keller on Talk for Autism 2.0, a 12-hour internet radio broadcast to raise money for the National Autism Association and spread awareness. This will be the second time the duo have teamed up to raise awareness for autism. Both men have a personal connection to the cause, as both are parents of autistic children. Nick Larson has 2 children with autism, ages 6 years old and 4 years old. Brian Keller has a son with autism that is 9 years old. Talk for Autism has chosen the National Autism Association as the charity to receive the donations raised during the show. The mission of the National Autism Association is to respond to the most urgent needs of the autism community, providing real help and hope that all affected can reach their full potential. Talk for Autism is a 12-hour radiothon, airs April 11th, 2014, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, and is scheduled to end April 12th at 1 a.m. Pacific, 4 a.m. Eastern. To listen to the show and to get more information, go to www.talk4autism.com. April 11th is World Autism Awareness Day, and April is Autism Awareness Month. Hey folks, welcome back. Appreciate that. You're hanging out. Thank you. Sorry it's not a live show today, but I got a lot of stuff to catch up on because I was sick last week and took the week off, and now I'm just like bombarded with all kinds of stuff. Thank you, Nick Tucker, for sharing some information with me on the Facebook page. Nick Tucker, Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on Facebook, distortedreality.podbean.com. Go check out his episode. Also, over at wakingupthemasses.com, and go check out Kicking the Capstone with your host Bob Brutus right there on on wakingupthemasses.com. And also the Views Express Live, the other show that I have that I host at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, right there on wakingupthemasses.com and also at freeamericaradio.us. So, anyway, I was going to read you something because I posted this up here and I believe it's relevant to for a lot of reasons, but I wanted people to understand where I was coming from this morning. So I'm going to read this to you, and this is what I wrote on my Facebook page. I will put this, of course, on. If I'll read it to you, but I'll share it on the. I will share it on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page as well. So, and there it is. So, let me read this to you because I wrote it this morning. I search a lot of videos for information. I have found that, 1, people will always criticize anything because it doesn't fit into their limited paradigm and they cannot accept facts or face the truth. And 2, they will always say that whatever you present to them is disinformation or misinformation, and they will try to convince you that it is. Wake up! Whatever you view or read yourself, and that you can verify for yourself, is what you need. To try and convince others about the validity or whatever it is you are presenting to them is pointless. Read it or see it for what it is, investigate it, research it for yourself, and be done with it. You will never be able to convince anyone of anything, especially if they do not want to be. I have a show that I present what is in the news, and people go out of their flippin' minds when I reveal what is happening behind the scenes. They cannot accept the truth with the facts that I present or admit when they are wrong. I listen to Glenn Beck, Alex Jones, Pete Santilli, and others, and I have to tell you that if you cannot listen to them with great intent or research what they say do the research yourself, then you will not have a full spectrum of information to read and see, and you will miss a lot. I don't always agree with everyone, with everything everyone says, and we shouldn't. We should do our own research. If people tell me I'm wrong and do not present their side of their argument, I move on. I tell people I could be wrong. Let me know if I am. I'm fine with that. But hardly anyone presents their side of the argument and always tells me, "You're a conspiracy theorist. Why are you listening to those people you listen to?" I reply with, "Have a nice day." I have heard people tell me about those people mentioned above, and they sound pissed when they talk about them. Why? Are they telling me, or are you telling me you have a better information to present? Are you telling me you have better information to present? If your information that you have is the result of deeper research, do you have insiders that tell you things? And my question to all of those people is, can you do better? When you start digging for information to attempt to debunk everything I say, you'll find that everything I'm talking about is completely and utterly true. Questions? No question is off limits. If I don't know, I'll tell you, I don't know. And I wanted people to hear that and know that, because literally, people will always get up in my face and tell me I'm wrong, or tell me this person's wrong, or tell me this other person's an idiot, and, control opposition, and he's, in the system, whatever. You got proof of that? I'm going to say this to every person in the alternative media that is listening to the sound of my voice now. If you cannot put the canceled check stubs, the documents, the files, the information that you have about them, that Alex Jones is part of Stratford, CIA front company, or Glenn Beck is controlled opposition and he gets paid by Premier and blah blah blah. If you cannot put that information with every dot connected and every dollar accounted for that they get paid by these people, then you are completely wrong. But then again, how do I know I'm right? Because I know. I've got a little something that most of you don't have, and I use it quite well, and it's called discernment. And if you're not able or willing to accept the fact that you need to discern what is going on, not only, physically pick apart what they're saying, that's one thing, that's investigation and research. But if your gut tells you, if your intuition tells you that that person is right, that that person needs to be listened to and paid attention to, then guess what? If you're not using that, you're not using the full spectrum of your true, limitless self. Now, I don't want to get into that arena right now. That's a whole different ball game and a whole different subject to talk about on another show. But I use discernment. But I also back that up with information that I receive, that I get, that I look at, that I research, that I investigate. Pete Santilli, Alex Jones, Glenn Beck, Michael Savage are not wrong. They're not wrong. None of them are wrong. So get over it. If you can't connect the dots, give me the checks, give me the information from the FBI, give me the information from the CIA, give me the information from Premier Networks that Glenn Beck has happened to be on or using as a platform. They don't own his show, but he uses Premier Platform to get his show across on iHeartRadio. If you cannot put your information on the table, have a nice day. I'll be back right after this. What we see is not always the truth. Lies, deceit, cover-ups. This is the world we live in. It is not reality. It is distorted reality. Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker. Good morning. Hey, good morning, good evening, good day to you wherever you are on this planet. I got a few more minutes. I just want to remind you that the views expressed live, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on Free America Radio Network and also on Waking Up the Masses. Yes, you can go to freeamericaradio.us to listen to the show, and Waking Up the Masses, go to the show page, the live broadcast page, and listen to the show and join in with the other people that are chatting. I was in the chat room yesterday, and it was kind of an interesting conversation we were having. It was kind of cool. Radio Mom, thank you very much. She knows who she is. So, anyway. Now, previously, let me back up a bit and just say this. I'm done with people criticizing me, Nick Tucker, Alex Jones, Glenn Beck, Brian Keller. I'm done with it. You're going to criticize us for what we say and call us conspiracy theorists? And say that we don't know what we're talking about and everything that we say is wrong and all that. I'm done with you people because you people are stupid, okay? You people are just, you're sold out to the lamestream, state-run, CIA-infiltrated media. You got your head up Obama's ass. I mean, you don't really give a crap about anything else other than yourself and what you would consider this government giving you free stuff, okay? You're all in the camp of that psychopath John McCain. You're more interested in getting what you get from the government than you are about saving this government from the tyrants that are in Washington D.C. So I'm done with you people. I've said it before and I'll say it again and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. I'm done with stupid people. Okay. I'm done. I'm completely And absolutely done with you stupid people. You want to criticize my show, then you create a show on Spreaker.com or whatever network, and you do all of that. If you're going to try to debunk anybody, and this is directly to the debunkers, and trust me, I've talked to a lot of them face to face when I was growing up in Stockton and doing this in Stockton, California. I've looked right at the debunkers, and they said, well, this, and this, and here's this. And I looked at them and go, yeah, but have you investigated where you got that information from? Well, no, I don't have to. Here's the information, and I just got it. Well, go investigate the where you got that information from. Where did it originate from? Go check it out. Did you know that not one of those people that tried to debunk me ever did that or ever came back to me and told me where they got the information from? None of them. Why? Because they found out I was right. That was just the bottom line. I'm not always right, and I'm okay with being wrong. That's okay. I'm fine with that. But the thing is that you have to understand what's going on. You have to really, 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 really understand what's going on. And if you stupid people out there that are in the Obama camp and want tyranny in this country, well, I got a suggestion for you. I mean, obviously you can do whatever you want, but I got a suggestion for you. How about packing up your family and go to Russia or go to China? Because, hey, that's where you belong if you want tyranny. If you want people to, if you just, go ahead. Leave the country because you're not an American. You're not an American. What's the definition of an American? Well, that's an ideology. What's the definition of a United States citizen? That is the proper practicality in this country that you and I exist in. Okay? You look at who we are. You look at what you are. You examine your whole family and you go back to 1776 in your family, and I guarantee you, you will find a lot of freedom-loving people. But I also want you to understand that even back then, your family didn't agree with a lot of things that were going on. And that's probably the side of the family you people are from, because you don't care about the freedoms and liberties in this country. You don't care that your children are being indoctrinated with this communist core. Indiana just kicked that out. They said, we don't want it, and they kicked it out of their curriculum. And now Bill Gates, yes, that Bill Gates, Windows, Microsoft, Bill Gates, is now pushing for a world core curriculum. I was just notified by someone, and I'm not going to tell you who it was, that said in California, Common Core is there, and it's individualized for each student and all. No. It's bull crap, folks. It's bull crap. I'm at war with Common Core. I declare war on Common Core because it's a piece of crap. Go look it up. Go look at where it came from. It came out of the philosophies of Saul Alinsky, and now your current education czar is pushing it. So I don't want to hear any more about Common Core. It's a piece of crap. Okay? Sorry, education is a big thing to me, and if your children are being indoctrinated with tyrannical, fascist, Marxist, dictatorial ideas, then you as a parent have a problem, period. Now, your kids are more important to you. You had them, didn't you? They came out of your loins, and you love them, and you would do anything for them. Then how about changing that? How about going to the administration, the Unified School District that you live in, the administration building, and say, we want Common Core out of here. If not, we're going to sue you. Period. End of sentence. Why not? Why not threaten them? Why? Because the school has a lot of power and they're going to take your children away because you don't want them to be educated in their indoctrination or in their curriculum, I meant to say, to be indoctrinated with their curriculum. Oh, you don't think it'll happen? It's happened before. It's happened before. And you know it. So kick Common Core to the curb. I'm at war. I declare war on Common Core. It's the way it is. It's the way it is. I don't know. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, if you want to continue to cater to this tyrannical system and pay for your own demise, you know, that's entirely up to you. That's entirely up to you. You can do whatever you want. That's entirely up to you. Okay? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, isn't phonics and learning the words and clearing the words with a dictionary more important than having a convoluted, confusing concept given to your 5-year-old about their sexual identity? Yes, that's in one of the checklists, by the way. Go look it up. And if it's not, correct me if I'm wrong. Thank you. But I'm telling you right now, it's a piece of crap, and we got to get rid of it. We have to get rid of it. There is no other way around it. We have to get rid of it. Period. Okay? We have to get rid of this whole government. Yes, we need to get rid. I hope the government collapses. That way, we the people can rebuild it in what we want, of, by, and for the people, not of, by, and for the corporations. We have a Constitution and a Bill of Rights prior to 1871 that has proven that. Okay? Now, where are we going to go from there? What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Well, that's up to you, isn't it? That's up to you. I want to give a big shout out to a couple of people. Again, Mr. Nick Tucker over at Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on Facebook, and also Brian Lang, Live Truth Radio. You can hear that on wakingupthemasses.com as well. You want to hear how frustrated other people are, then you go listen to Brian Lang on Live Truth Radio. Believe me, holy crap, is he pissed. Okay? We're going to get out of here. Email me, freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com is the email. The website is freeamericaradio.us. Come join me on the Views Express live at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, right there at freeamericaradio.us, and also on wakingupthemasses.com. Thank you, Bob Brutus. Go check out Bob Brutus, Kicking the Capstone, on wakingupthemasses.com. Yes, and I will talk to you folks later. And, hey, email me, freeamericaradio@usa.com, freeamericaradio@usa.com website, freeamericaradio.us.